go. So today we're starting a new chapter and we're looking at graphing. Okay, we've spent lots of time graphing, so we're going to look at graphing using intercepts. Okay, so an intercept, this word here, is anywhere it crosses these axes. Okay, so an intercept is where a line on a graph crosses an axis. And I say an axis because we can cross either the X or the Y. Yeah. Okay, either the X or the Y. Okay? So if we look at our graph, which we've done, we know this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4, right? We remember that this is our point of origin. And we also remember that the horizontal line, or the line that goes from left to right, is our x-axis. And the line that goes vertical or up or down is our y-axis. And they're always labeled. If you look at this graph, here it's labeled x, and there it's labeled y. Amin, are you listening? Okay, so this is super important, okay? Because we're going to be graphing a couple lines, okay? So here it tells us that the x-intercept is -5. That means on my x, I'm going to look for -5. So from my point of origin, here's -5, and I'm going to put a point there. So you all should be putting a point at -5. Now it also tells me that my y-intercept, or this line, where it crosses this line, is what? It's 3, right? So I'm going to find 3, and I'm going to put a point there. Okay? Amin, you paying attention? So now I'm going to go ahead and use my straight edge to connect those 2 points. Now my line is going to go through both points, end to end on my graph. And because I don't actually have an equation, I don't need to label it. Okay? So through those 2 points, end to end on my graph with arrows on both ends. I'm going to show you an example of what not to do. Let's say my points were here and here. This is not acceptable. Don't do this. Okay? No, it's not. End to end, arrows on both ends. This is not acceptable. This is what I want to see. All the way through the graph, end to end, arrows on both ends. Got it? Okay, so this side, all right, so this one here. Go ahead and do number 2. It's exactly like number 1, except your intercepts are different numbers. So find those intercepts and then draw your arrow. And then we'll check it together. Go ahead and take like a minute to do that. All right, so let's see if we did it right. For number 2, it said my x-intercept, that's this one here, is going to be a +3. So I'm going to find +3 on my x-axis and put a point there. It says my y-intercept, that's my vertical or up and down, tells me it's -5. So I'm going to find -5 on that axis, and I'm going to put a point there. I'm going to go ahead and do the last step, which is to draw my line through both points from end to end on the graph, and make sure I include my arrows on the both ends. Does yours look like that? Excellent. Okay, we're going to do, these are the easy ones. Okay. So this front page, you have 2 more like that to do. Go ahead and turn the page to problem number 5. So number 5 is going to be a little bit more tricky. Okay, because now it doesn't tell us where intercepts are. So we're going to find that using 0. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite the problem down here. 2x is equal to y minus 1. And then I'm going to divide my workspace into 2 sides. One side, I'm going to say x-intercept. and my y is going to equal 0. On the second one, I'm going to say y-intercept, and my x is equal to 0. Now we're going to wait. Go ahead and write that down, and then we'll catch up. Okay. So now this is my equation, right? And I need to graph it, but I need to find my x-intercepts. So I'm going to take this equation, I'm going to rewrite it down here, but instead of y, I'm going to write y as what? 0. So I'm going to rewrite 2x is equal to 0 minus 1. Okay? So 0 is nothing, right? So really what this is telling me is 2x is equal to negative 1. But I don't have x all by itself, which is what I'm trying to find, right? So I'm going to go ahead and undo this operation. We learned this through our multi-step equation. How do I undo this multiplication? I'm going to divide. I'm going to divide both sides by this positive 2. Okay? I'm going to give me this 1. So now x is equal to, oh, look at that, negative 1/2. Yes, it can be a fraction. We don't like it to be, but it can be. Pardon me? No, because negative 1, you're dividing the top number by the bottom. Since the bottom is bigger, it stays a fraction. Now, if this was the opposite way to negative 2 over 1, then my answer would be negative 2. Okay? Good question, Andrew. So now I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay? I'm going to rewrite my equation, but instead of x, I'm going to write it as 0. So this is going to be 2 times 0, right, is equal to y minus 1. Okay? This becomes 0, right? So now I have 0 is equal to y minus 1. I'm going to change the order. I'm going to say y minus 1 is equal to 0. I could do that. That's easy. But I still don't have y by itself. So how do I move this negative 1 to the other side? Inverse operation of subtraction is, what is it? Addition. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. All right, so now I get y is equal to positive 1. And this becomes my ordered pair. Okay? What?
I don't know. Yeah, me either. I don't get it.
Okay, just to repeat what I just said and you guys didn't hear. Here on this side, my y is 0. So in my ordered pair, y is going to be 0. On this side, my x is a negative 1/2. So I wrote it up as negative 1/2 over 0. Okay? On this side, my x is 0 and my y is 1. So my ordered pair is 0, 1. And now I can graph both of these points to find my intercepts, right? So for the first one, x is negative 1/2, means I'm going to go left about halfway, and my y is 0. So that's where it's going to cross the line. Okay? For the second one, I start at 0. My x is 0, but my y is 1. So I don't move left and right, I go up 1. So that gives me 2 points where they intersect. And they're very close to one another, but we just draw the line. Okay, so this is 2x is equal to y minus 1. Okay, I got my ordered pairs. Those are my intercepts. And once I get to here, it's exactly like the ones you did on the first side. You have your ordered pairs, but this is using 0. And I'm really going to push this. We're going to do 2 days of this. Okay, 2 days of this before we move on. Okay, we graph our intercepts, we draw our line, we make sure it's end to end, we add our arrows on both ends, and then this time I did start with an equation, right? So I label it with my equation. Okay, we're going to do uno más, one more. Okay, Let's do number 8 because number 8 looks a bit confusing, but it's not. Hannah. Okay, I've got plenty of room here. I'm going to rewrite my problem down here after I sharpen my pencil. I like a nice sharp pencil. I have 0 is equal to 5 plus y plus 3x. Got it? 5 plus y plus 3x. I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to divide. I'm going to set it up exactly the way I did the first time. So here, I'm going to write x-intercept, abbreviating int for intercept. And I'm going to say that y is equal to 0. On the right side, I'm going to look for my y-intercept, abbreviating intercept. X is equal to 0. Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite my equation, but instead of y, what am I going to write on this side?
Y.
0. Okay, so 0 is equal to 5 plus, instead of y, I'm going to write 0 plus 3x. Okay? Same thing goes for the other side, but instead of x, what do I write this time? 0. So 0 is equal to 5 plus y plus 3 times 0. Okay, so now I can solve these two separate equations. Louder, head up, please. Okay? So what is 5 plus 0?
5.
So I can just simplify this, right? 0 is equal to 5 plus 3x, correct? Yes? Here's my line for my balance, right? So now, what side do I want this 3x? Left or right? Left side, right? So I'm going to go ahead and move this 3x, but I can't just move. I don't want to switch the sides. I want to move this. So what is the opposite of plus 3x? So I'm going to subtract it from both sides. Okay? So now my equation says minus 3x is equal to plus 5. Right? Now, how do I undo this again? Division. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. Make sure you include that negative 3. Sorry. Make sure you include the negative 3. So now I have, because this becomes 1, x is equal to, I'm going to move this negative sign to the top, minus 5 over 3. And again, another fraction. But 5 is bigger, right? So how many times can 3 fit into 5?
2.
Once, right? Because 3 times 2 is 6. So it's going to be 1 and 2/3. So it's going to be 1 and 2/3. And if you use the calculator, it would give you a decimal. So don't use a calculator. 5 goes into 3 once. That's 3, right? 4, 5, 2 is your remainder. That stays as your denominator. Okay, so this ordered pair is going to be a weird one. It's negative 1 and 2/3 and 0. Remember, because y is 0. Okay, now let's solve this one. What is 3 times 0? So now I have y is equal to 5 plus y, right? This time I am going to switch sides because I want that positive. Okay, so I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to rewrite it as y, or 5 plus y is equal to 0. All I did was move everything over. I switched sides. Okay, I want to move this 5. So how do I move a positive 5? What did you say? Thank you, Kevin. Negative 5. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, right? So this becomes 0. I bring down my positive y. What is 0 minus 5? Minus 5, right? So this ordered pair is lovely because it's at x is 0, y is minus 5. And now I can graph these guys. Okay, this one's easy. I'm going to graph this one first. X is 0, y is negative 5. Okay? I graphed it. X is 0, y is negative 5. This is my y-intercept, so it should be right on this line. This one's also easy. Okay, so from here, I'm going to go left 1 and about 2/3. It doesn't have to be exact, guys. About 2/3 of the way over.
Wait. You circle the negative 2?
I didn't, it's not right on the negative 2. It's near it. Because it's 1 and 2/3. So it's almost 2. Not quite. 1/3 away. Okay. I'm not looking for exact. Near is good. But if you put it over here, you're going to be wrong. It's got to be close. Alright. Then, finally, line through it, end to end, arrows on both ends. And what's my last step? Label it. Always label it. 0 equals, with your original equation, 5x plus y plus 3x. Okay, so we're still doing exactly what the first side is, except this time you have to find your intercepts using 0. Okay? Because one of your numbers has to be 0 for you to be right on the line. Okay? Why don't you guys try number 6 on your own, and then we'll check it. Check your work. Make sure your answers look like mine. Be careful with the negative on this side, because some of you guys were saying, well, that's just like the one we just did. But this had a negative y. So if you look, and I spread it out a little bit, this is a positive, this is a negative. So there are different subtle differences. This is what I tell you when you have to really pay attention to that minus sign and make sure you include it, because it's going to make that one little difference that's going to change your answer. Okay? All right, so after you check your work, I didn't say anything. After you check your work, do the rest of the assignment for homework.